Well, good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good evening. What's up, Matt? How are you doing?
Did you see any screen lag when this happened?
No?
It was weird. Anyway, doing good. How are you tonight, Jacob?
Good, good, good
I
to.
see you return to your body. So,
Yes,
how
my head is back on,
j-
reattached.
just be careful. It doesn't get sucked into that black hole behind you there.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Uh, so quiet, the quiet Matt tonight.
Yes. To tell you what I think is the best movie on this list. I should tell you right
Yeah,
away.
yeah. So, uh, Miss Martin's here. Hey, Teresa. Glad to have you. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm just going to be going over an article that they've already got it ranked. So it's not our ranking, but it's a ranking. But yeah, so it should be fun to go over.
You know what's absurd though? When I look at these lists, they give you the IMDb rating for these movies, and like some of these movies should be like a nine or 10, right? And
Right.
yet there are enough people to make them rank down to like a 7 or 8. I can't imagine. I mean, I guess like the Quiet Man, just because of the one beating scene at the end, a bunch of woke people might downrank it or whatever. But I'm trying to imagine how many people have to dislike something actively to still rate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I grew up. I had friends that didn't like black and white movies. So if you're talking about black and white movies, people aren't even going to watch it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of these movies should be 8 or 9, or maybe even 10. I could place The Searchers at a 10. I mean, I've watched that movie over and over again.
Yeah.
So so let's get into this.
So you want to start at the bottom or the top?
Hmm. I don't know. What do you think? I
Uh,
don't think it matters. I mean,
yeah. Yeah, we can start at the bottom and work our way up. I mean, because obviously our rank is going to be different from these anyway. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah,
so we're not arguing the rank of them. Most unless something is egregious, like number 13, Donald Drew should be a bit higher in my opinion. But like, you know what I mean. But then
yeah.
look at the like they gave it a 6.7 out of 10. How is that even rationally possible?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, the one at the bottom, number one, is the Man Who Shot Liberty Valance.
And that's a really good movie. I would rate a couple others better than that, but not like they're like so much better than it that there's a joke list. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
unless they're ranking them by IMDb rating,
yeah,
which could be what they're doing. So,
yeah. They're rating this the Man Who Shot Liberty Valance at 8.1.
yeah,
I,
I think their list is in order of IMDb ranking.
yeah. So yeah, this one, I really like this one. It's got a lot of good actors in it.
So
So
okay, so I thought we were starting from the bottom, but I mean, okay, so
yeah,
Man's Liberty
this is
Balance. Oh, okay. When I got it, it gave me the list the other way.
okay.
It's weird.
I just scrolled all the way down.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
it
yeah, this one. Go ahead.
no, you start because it's you know more. You probably remember this film more than I do. You know.
Uh, Directed during the height of his career, Ford assembled a trio of Hollywood acting royalty for The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, one of cinema's most revered westerns. This feature stars Jimmy Stewart, uh, Senator Stoddard, I think,
Where?
relives through flashbacks the story of Stoddard's unexpected friendship with
No, that's
with
James Stewart. There should be a space
yeah,
after the T.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. His unexpected friendship with Tom Donovan. John Wayne, uh, recounting for a newspaper reporter their involvement and search for justice against local criminal Liberty Valance, Lee Marvin.
Yeah. And a movie that like a flashback movie, I guess you would say, because what you think of it, a style film this would be. Those films could be really good or really bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like we all know, flashbacks in anime. So maybe the modern audience is like, "Oh God, another flashback every time they see one." You know
yeah,
what I mean? But this used to be something that was a rarer style. Even up when Highlander came out in the 80s and had the flashbacks, right? It wasn't like
yeah,
there were tons of flashback films every year. Maybe you have a movie with an occasional flashback or something, but
yeah,
I mean, this is a whole movie essentially that's a flashback, and he did a great job with it, obviously. Plus, this is an era when even your like actors playing the extras were like high quality, so that helps.
yeah.
I mean, nowadays you're
Says
lucky if you get one great actor in a movie. You're lucky. It's like, you know,
I just saw this on trivia for the man who shot Liberty Valance. One of the actors in it is playing a teenager. They were actually 50 years old in it. I
affecting
don't even know
income.
the
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I mean, I'm looking at the actors. Obviously, we had James Stewart, John Wayne, Lee Marvin. Those are probably the three biggest names modern audiences remember in that
Yeah,
order, right? And then, but I'm on the Wikipedia looking at this. Vera Miles is an actress I remember from other films. I guess I wonder if John Ford had his cast of actors he did movies with, even outside of the John Wayne
yeah,
films.
yeah.
You
Because
know,
a lot of these are in his other movies too. Uh, John Quaylen, he's a well-known actor back then, and he's been in a few. I think he was in The Quiet Man too. So I think
uh, John.
uh,
According to the whole cast of that list. I mean, look, John Quaylen. Let me get his face. Well, there were a lot of people in the Quiet Man who were playing background characters.
yeah,
Ford's
yeah,
brother played one of the background one of the guys in the pub. Ford's brother is also a famous director. Francis Ford, who Francis Ford Coppola is named after.
yeah,
Yeah, but there's a lot of actors. The actor, this guy Edmund O'Brien. Once I saw his face, I remembered Fantastic Voyage.
yeah.
You know, but you see
Vera
these guys,
Miles too.
Ken Murray. I don't recognize it. What Ken Murray been in? A vaudeville guy, some filmography. He didn't do a lot. I guess he was more of a okay. It makes. I mean, sometimes you get the ones who don't do a lot, but you just I guess not. But still, they're. I guess Ford was as picky. He didn't. Oh my God, Lee Van Cleef was in this thing. These are
Yeah,
about who else? John Carradine, that David Carradine's dad. You know,
yeah,
um, Paul Birch. These actors you'll see in everything you're in. But that's just the quality of. Now, I bet how many modern movies can we look at that? Leave aside any Ridley Scott film, right? Like just take his film out of it
yeah.
because actors fall over themselves to be in his movies. I say Coppola to take him out of it. Um, you know,
To back then they had they were it worked different. You were under a contract with a and you did as many movies as they could get you in.
oh yeah, you were
You know,
like you signed
so
a 10-year contract with RKO Pictures or whatever, and just you
yeah,
film multiple movies at a time. I mean, we were talking about that
right,
with the horror films. How they would like you can tell they were filming two horror films at the same time sometimes. With some
yeah,
of the actors, in the background and all that.
yeah,
So
yeah,
the only thing is, like, as far as the ranking goes, I mean, like I said, I respect this film. I know it's a great movie, but it didn't. Maybe because I like James Stewart, but I'm not a gigantic James Stewart fan. You know what I mean? Like maybe because I'm a John Wayne guy, and
Yeah.
It's even though I know he's a star in the movie, he's not like the star. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I do like Jimmy Stewart a lot, but yeah, I like them both a lot. I mean, I grew up watching all their movies and
Well,
especially the westerns.
I grew up in a John Wayne household. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had no real choice but to watch John Wayne movies and World War II movies like all the time. You
Yeah.
know, it's like you know.
Yeah. Okay, you ready to move on to
Yep,
number
yep,
two?
yeah.
Alrighty. And this is one of my all-time favorites of John Ford.
The Searchers. Yep.
Yeah.
Poor Natalie Wood. Uh,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
that was such a tragic death.
Yeah.
It was like 7, 10 or something when she died.
Yeah. A dark installment for a cinematic duo. The Searchers still features the familiar faces of Wayne film regular cast members, determined to recover his kidnapped niece, Debbie Natalie Wood. Ethan Edwards uh, scores the Comanche Nation after his brother's family is slain. A Civil War veteran, Ethan is closed, closed and cold, a far cry from the upbeat disposition of Wayne's traditional roles. Absent of the Duke's iconic ear to ear grin, The Searchers is a cinematic gem that Wayne Ford fans return to every time. Yeah.
So, like a lot more John Wayne movies than I thought. This was based on a book, apparently.
Yeah.
And I was glancing over the list of films. And I was like, "Hey, did that?" And I saw the list like based on a book by. I was like, "Oh, wow, there's a lot more of the." I guess a lot of old westerns and stuff. That were books I was never a big western reader. So
Yeah.
yeah. Uh, I'm actually looking up the screenwriter for this because his name looked familiar. His name is Frank Nugent.
Yeah.
Created films.
Frank S. Nugent.
Uh, okay, here's his crediting. He wrote a couple more Wayne Fort Apache, Three Godfathers, She Wore a Yellow Ribbon, The Quiet
Yeah.
Maze. He created on The Quiet Maze. Probably where I know his name from. You know, so I guess he another guy who worked with Ford all the time.
Yeah.
He wrote Donovan's Reef. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
remember
So
I'm trying to if I'm remembering the movie right. Uh, I'm trying to picture it in my head because it was at the end of it. He gets to they find where the girl is. Um, yeah,
yes, so
like
yeah,
they
it's
find
got
the girl's been with the Comanches for quite a while, and
yeah,
that much I remember.
from like 10 to 15, I
Well, long
think.
enough that she wants to stay with the Comanches because she's been the American Indian's wife for quite a while.
Yeah.
Um, and by the way, as I recall, in American Indian history, the Comanches were one of the tribes even other American Indian tribes tended to hate. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
Very warlike, but
Very brutal too.
yeah. I remember one of them tries to kill her, um, and they leave. They leave how they are, or something like that. So it's been a while since I've seen it. It was really nice. Like it was really nice. It's a questing movie. Like um,
Yeah.
when you go, so obviously the question when you have a questing movie is the pacing because like from speaking from like a Dungeons and Dragons game master perspective, you don't want to make things that slow the pacing down so that your players get bored playing it, right?
Right.
So in a movie perspective, you don't want to have too many side quests or stupid obstacles that make your audience get tired of watching it, you know.
Right.
Um, and I'm trying. So this movie, however, avoided that sort of like gimmick, I guess you would say. Like whereas if
Yeah.
a movie like I'll give you a modern movie that suffered from that problem. Godzilla King of the Monsters, right? There was a quest in the movie to get the daughter to get the MacGuffin device. The
Yeah, right,
right,
right.
and they kept sidetracking with all this family drama and all these extra human characters, right? So they, but the parts of the scene you wanted were the monsters and the human interaction with the monsters, right? So
Right.
that's a movie that lost like audience interest by having all these side quests and extra characters, whereas this thing is pretty linear. It's you
Yeah,
know,
I mean, that is the main quest of it, is to find
yeah.
the his niece. But it's got, but I love how it has the side stories too that are affected by the main quest,
Well, but
and
they
it
don't
worked out
derail
really
the main
well.
quest. You know what
No,
I mean? Yeah,
it
that's the
worked
important
out
thing.
really well.
Yeah. Like the side quests make you care about the characters. You know what I mean,
Right.
or show you the interesting thing about, well, she's like that's a tough choice. Like, I mean, I don't want to say it this way, but she's God native basically. The girl, and
Yeah.
you know, would anyone really want to go back? I mean, because like your society is not going to be accepting of you. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
they're going to look at you as I hate to say that, but tainted goods, as it were. Like you know.
Yeah.
So, like I hate to say it, but like
I mean, you would have to completely move to a different part of the country.
yeah, right, and but also make sure she grew up. Essentially, she grew up as an American Indian, so she doesn't even know that European Texas culture. She knows the American Indian culture. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's even tougher. Like, do you remember in the 1990s Last of the Mohicans how they the Canadian tribe, the Hurons, I think they were, just to
Hmm.
try to settle Magua's like vendetta against the English. Was the English or the French? No, the English. They gave him the younger daughter of the general, of the colonel or whatever.
Right. Right.
Um, and but this is where that movie messed up, because the actual romance was between the younger daughter and the and Uncas, right? Whereas the movie made
Hmm.
the romance between uh, you know uh, Hawkeye and the older daughter, right?
Right. Right.
Plus they flip flop the daughter's characters. That's a whole other thing. But at the end of it, she's after they kill Uncas, she's like, no. I mean, unless you read the book, you don't know why she committed suicide there. You know what I mean? But
Right.
like
I
she's
mean,
like saying,
they do kind of imply that there's a thing there
I think that was the
between the two, but it
actors
wasn't.
more than the story of the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I think the actors knew there was supposed to be a romance there, and had a lot of little glances and things like that that the director and the writers probably didn't even care about. You know, um,
Yeah.
so but when they had those looks between them at the end there, you and just some early stuff too. The point I'm getting at is like that's another, like she's being taken out of our culture, and and maybe she would have taken it because she loved Uncas, right? But Uncas
Yeah.
kind of lived in both cultures. Where if she goes to Magua's culture, like there's no hope there. You know what I mean? There's no way of
Yeah.
ever. Yeah,
And something too. This movie, the Searchers, they do take an older sibling of the girl, but it's like at a certain age, it's you can't reteach. Your developed, your mind is
yeah,
developed enough, but the younger girl was young enough to you know uh,
yeah.
adapt to that culture. So yeah.
And I'm trying to catch what happened to the older daughter. I know they killed some of the other kids from the settlers. I remember that was the Comanche way. They were murderers and slavers and kidnappers. They were not like they the opposite of the image of the fake image they have of American Indians being all peace and love and hippie-ish,
Yeah,
right?
the
Well,
noble the
the,
noble savage.
yeah, the Comanches were the exact opposite of that fake image. You know what I mean? They were like they were up there with the Aztecs in terms of like abusing their own like
Yeah.
fellow.
Yeah. And the eastern tribes were more civilized
Well, they have.
at some points.
I don't know if civilized is quite the best word for it. Because like I mean, reality is all of our tribal ancestors, no matter what continent you're from, they're barbarians. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think the 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 tribes in the east had much longer association with like the British and the French, and had adopted some cultural
Yeah.
changes. Like the Huron Nation, I think on like the Canadian and U.S. border up there. You know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
they had been allies with the French for a long time, and obviously the story with the Pilgrims.
And
They had
that was probably a good thing that they had more trading with the French, because the French were more open to the
yeah.
Indians than the English were, the British were.
Um, Maybe. I mean, that I can see the truth, an element of truth there on that. Uh, but then again, is it a question of is that because the French were just like, well, the British are going to take this over, so we have to make them want to like us more, type of thing. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like the competitive, because Britain and France, and then Spain and Portugal had all these rivalries that made them seem friendly when they might not have been to cultures they interacted with.
Yeah.
It's like what was that Star Trek episode? Where they go to the planet where the Klingons are there, and the Klingons are giving one side weapons and whatever, and then Kirk's like, "Well, I got to make it
Yeah.
equal to keep the Prime Directive accurate," and Spock is like, "You sure about this?" He said, "Well, the Prime Directive would have been busted." Basically, I'm paraphrasing people, but I have to keep it equal. So if they give them guns, we have to give them the same type of guns, basically. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it wasn't that Kirk would try to be friendly to those people, right? Even though I think honestly he respected them because he spent time with them in the past, right? But I think he was doing it because the Klingon situation. So,
Yeah. Right.
Star Trek is like amazingly has amazing exploration of this stuff. Hey, Zach.
Yeah.
And this is essentially a sad movie, very sad movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which apparently the hacks on IMDb think it's only a 7.9.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I really like that movie. That would be a 9 for me.
Shield Wall. Yeah, if we're talking about Unkas and uh, Cora, the younger daughter. I don't know. If you're talking about
Yeah.
that, then
Forget
yeah,
their
we
names.
agree. Yep.
And
And this
this
is
is
an
one of
old movie,
the
right?
old ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
39.
I think I watched this movie once in the past 20 years. Um, I know it's about. I just don't remember it very well. I know didn't Wayne do like a couple serials before this that were similar themes?
Uh, I think so. Yeah. Similar. Yeah.
Because I have a couple of John Wayne serials that I got on DVD about 2-3 years ago. Um, I remember more about this film.
Yeah. Zach, you got to watch that movie. It's a good movie. Highly recommend that one.
Zach, to have a properly stamped man card, you need to watch every John Wayne film.
Yes.
You,
Exactly.
you just don't get it. You won't like when you try to use that man card to go into the club Manly and get stuff. If they don't see the John Wayne stamp, you're just not
Oh,
going to
I'm
get in.
sorry. You can't get in.
Yeah, yep. They need that John Wayne stamp on there. Yeah,
So Stagecoach, the time-honored tale of strangers surviving circumstances. Stagecoach featured John Wayne during his transition from B-list to A-list actor.
yeah.
An outlaw Ringo Kid, Wayne, is among a group of passengers aboard a stagecoach traveling across the Wild West, the threat of Apache attacks looming over them all. This is the first collaboration between Ford and John and Wayne, a career evolving film for the pair. Stagecoach earned 7 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture and Best Director, Ford's second directing nomination. At the time, this movie excited Western fans for dynamic relationship that was about to unfold before Hollywood's eyes. Yeah.
And so this is Wayne. Wayne is not he's a feature actor. He's not the feature actor in this movie.
Yeah.
Um, kind of scrolling through the wiki on it. Apparently, this is also based on some sort of short story.
Mm-hmm.
I would need to find someone who actually reads westerns, like, you know what I mean? Because I have no
Yeah.
knowledge. Like, I mean, some stuff I know some names, like Louis L'Amour, I think is a name I know, and what's his face who wrote Justified, Elmore Leonard. Like, I know
Yeah.
some names of western writers, but I never really read a lot of their stuff. So, like, so these
Yeah.
movies
I
that were,
haven't. I haven't either.
in fact, probably the most western things I've ever read are the Hawkeye novels by Cooper. You know. Um, the Longfeld, the five, the Less Mohicans is based on,
Yeah.
but
You have our permission to skip that one if you want, Sax.
I personally like Genghis Khan.
You do?
You know,
Yeah. It it's okay. It's fun. Yeah. So let's see who's in this one. Where is it?
now, John Carradine was in this one too. But again, Ford
Yeah.
had his actors. He probably said, "I want John Carradine in this." So and those
Yeah.
acting families. John had the two kids. Actually, is it more than two? He had David, John Carradine Jr., and Keith. Are there more than two of them?
I think there's three. I think I
Um,
could be wrong, but I'm pretty
And
sure
he
that
was
there's
in.
three.
He was. We were talking about those horror films. John Carradine played Dracula in House of Frankenstein,
Yeah.
and Billy the Kid versus Dracula, which is 30 years apart, I guess. You know, so he's another actor who played horror roles, and um, but again, he's a John Ford actor too. I'm just looking at now. I just went over his page, and he was in like The Grapes of Wrath and others. Basically, he's a John Ford guy.
Yeah. 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 And this, I would rank it higher too. This one than 7.8.
I don't think any of these numbers on here you and I will think are accurate.
No.
I
No.
think it's very safe to say that we can add 1.5 to every one of them and minimum.
Yeah. 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 I really like how they. I mean, you have the Ringo Kid, which other people in the stagecoach are untrusting of, and then you have the Indians looming over, and I thought it was a really good play on that.
Mhm. Well, like what Chilwell said there, though, and this actually ties into Elon Musk in a certain way. People don't realize one of the reasons Elon Musk is trying to get us into space with SpaceX and all is he is aware of the need for a diaspora. Like, every so often in our world history, pressures are either alleviated by either wars or diaspora, right? Either people
Right.
fight it out, or they spread out where they don't need to fight. And there's no place to go right now. You know what I mean? So, like, that's Elon Musk. One of his big reasons is to get like space colonies or whatever. So people who want to live more out there lifestyles can just go live on a space colony or whatever. Instead of having to fight over it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the West that's the whole thing in the West. Like, there's a lot of politics with like the Louisiana Purchase and how they acquired some of the other Western territories and all that, for good or for ill. But I find it funny when they're now contending that U.S. stole California from the natives, right?
Right.
From the Mexicans, and I'm like, well, who did the Mexicans steal it from? It's like,
Exactly.
you know, like if you're gonna play that game, we can play it all the way down the toilet bowl drain, and but the whole West was,
We can play that train all the way back to Adam and Eve
yeah,
if you want to.
and like with the West and all the expansions, and like there was the diaspora, people seeking their lives away from others, and it was dangerous. I don't know if you watched any of the. Did you watch 1883?
No, I haven't.
It's a
But
very dark
I
Western.
it,
It's probably the best Yellowstone related season of anything ever, right?
yeah.
Um, and it's very dark, and it portrays the sort of risk the settlers were taking and the risk the American Indians were taking back then, right? Um,
Right.
you know, uh, in a very accurate way. You know, it's true to the culture, if not quite true to the facts.
Hmm. Here we go. Your favorite.
Yep. So this is like my two favorite movies are Highlander, which will be on Roman next week, and Transformers the movie, right? And then after that, I have a list of maybe between 10 and 20 movies that are like my third favorite movies of all time, type of thing. Like like in one week, Quiet Man could be number three. Another week, it could be the original Godzilla film. You know what I mean? Like there's
Hmm.
nothing to other than those first two. That next group has no clear rankings, right?
Yeah.
But there's another list that this film goes on. Okay, and it's a very short list of movies. I can't. I can maybe think of 3 or 4 movies all time like this that's completely perfect. There's nothing like other than like maybe if you watch it frame by frame, you'll see like some guy's cigarettes in the background from one of the extras. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Or but there's nothing wrong with this movie. Like it's completely perfect from opening to end. The music, the timing, the pacing, um, and like I'm an Italian American. We grew up near Irish Americans just into marriage. The Irish American culture that I know emphasized very well. Like they said, yeah, this is close to it. You know what I mean? Like it was like uh, uh, respectful of and expressive of like the culture the Irish had here, if not so much more so there. Now I know the accents are kind of way off. For some of the actors aren't Irish.
Hmm.
Like the native Irish speakers had the right accent, right? But some of the American guys who were pretending to be Irish or pretending to have Irish accents, that's a little off, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but again, it doesn't take the you it doesn't it you know. I know like the modern woke teachers won't like the ending of the film. I know that,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but that is such a classic moment. Um, And if you want a fantasy reference, Fail and Perrin from um, Wheel of
Hmm.
Time. Fail was pushing at
Oh,
Perrin.
I'm just two chapters into
Oh,
Shadow Rising, so don't
oh,
spoil it.
okay. Have you met Fail yet?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
And you know her personality is just like Maureen O'Para's personality in this, right? You've seen
Yeah.
that so far.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Okay,
I could see
so I
that.
won't spoil like why it's that way. I think you get that in the next book or two. But um, it's a very similar relationship between his character and her character in this movie as that relationship. You'll think about the Quiet Man as you read their relationship as it goes through the next couple of books.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And then uh also beautiful cinematography on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Like before that's a John Ford thing. Like you can watch like go watch
Oh
Midway
yeah.
or the war movies like Mr. Roberts. You know, he always had beautiful cinematography and great staging of his shots. That's another thing that modern directors don't seem to get. Like like let's take the Born Identity, right? You know that like camera angle where they constantly cut away from stuff. You know, and don't show you like when they're fighting, they don't really show you the full fight. They keep cutting
Yeah.
around and all
Right.
that. That's interesting for one movie. You know what I mean? Like, but
Yeah.
when you start getting like 17 different films where they don't frame the shots properly, it just gets tedious. You know.
Yeah. It does. It
Um,
does.
which I think was a big refreshing thing with John Wick. Like it's almost I don't want to say that was like John Ford style of movie, but the one thing that those two guys did with John Wick is frame everything so you could see it and understand it, right? And that
Yeah.
was a very John
And
Ford thing.
they did in the John Wick movies. They did it to the T. I mean, they did great fighting, uh, hand to hand and guns. I mean, they did a real good job on that.
Yeah. And spoilers for the Quiet Man. There's one of the all-time great movie fights in this.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, if you haven't
Yeah.
seen it, you should. It's and there's even a little like Irish politics with the Protestants and the Catholics and all that. That's a little thrown in there. Um, and oh, what else? And some of the great scenes, like so when Sean O'Hara returns to Ireland because he's technically an Irish American. He was a little boy last time in Ireland, right? And his family emigrated to the U.S. I guess a lot of Irish emigrated for poverty reasons, basically. And
Yeah.
he became a big time boxer there, and he said, and for a reason you'll find out in the movie, he goes to settle back in Ireland, right? So, and when
Right.
he get and when he first gets the cabin back, and it's that stormy night and whatever, I really love that scene, like with the storm blowing, and he first meets Marina Harris' character up close, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Uh-huh.
that whole it's again the proper framing, obviously with the fake storm going on, or maybe it was a real storm. Maybe before it was like, oh, we got to wait for a real storm to film this scene. It's like who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Back then,
Right.
they made actors do the craziest stuff.
Hmm.
Um, but like you could hear the dialogue clearly, but still hear the background. It was, you know,
Yeah. Really good. Yeah, and he hollers like a wild banshee.
yeah.
That's good. Uh, Here, let me read this
Oh,
real
one
quick.
more thing about this. One more thing about this.
Okay.
This film has a narrator who pops up. It's the Catholic priest. And a lot of times films with narrators, that's again, they can mess that up badly, right?
Mm-hmm.
This one does not. It adds properly to it.
Yeah, it does. They did a good job with that. An Oscar-winning feat for Ford, Best Director. The Quiet Man was a departure for for both Johns from the usual gritty Western story. Wayne plays a retired American boxer, Sean Thornton, returning to his family homestead in Ireland. He falls for Mary Kate Maureen O'Hara. There, there despite her brother's refusal. The movie is
Wait,
another excellent. Go ahead.
let me see if I can do the movie accents. He's Sean Thornton, and it's
Sean Thornton.
Mary Kate Donaher. That's my
Good
bad
stuff.
attempt to do the accent.
Yeah.
The way they say his name is Sean Thornton. You're the grandson of old Sean Thornton. Yeah. You're okay because
Yeah.
your grandpa was okay. I love that. That's my
Yeah.
own Italian culture was like that. You're so and so's kid. It's like your nephew. Yeah.
The movie is another excellent collaboration between Ford and Wayne. And Wayne, his leading Lady O'Hara, like the title displays, The Quiet Man is a quiet romance beloved by critics and cinematic goers, deserving of its 7 Oscar nominations.
Yeah.
Pretty good, 7 Oscars.
I want to see how many actually
When that
won.
meant something.
Yeah. When do you think the Oscars stopped meaning anything?
I don't know. 2000s, somewhere in the 2000s.
Yeah, someone
I
that
would
would make
say.
sense. Yeah, that makes a little sense. 2000s. We'll look up the Quiet Man. Let's see how many Oscars actually won.
And again, look at the IMDb rating. Too low.
Yeah, so I'm on Wikipedia. So it won Golden Globes for Best Director, Best Original Score, Academy Awards, Best Actor in Supporting Role is Victor McGlane, Best Art Direction, Best Cinematography Color. We talked about cinematography. Best Director John Ford, Best Picture won, Best Sound Recording, and Best Writing. Did John Wayne even get nominated? You think he would have? Let's see, John awards and nominations. Wow, John Wayne was only well. It says that he won. He only was nominated for an Academy Award 3 times.
Wow.
Sands of Iwo Jima, The Alamo, and then he won with True Grit.
Really? Man,
That
that's
is
crazy.
strange.
That is.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if. Okay, I'm looking at the ones he was nominated for. The Alamo is one he actually directed. John Wayne, True
Yeah.
Grit. So none of his work with John Ford got Wayne an Academy Award nomination. Wow,
Huh.
that's shocking.
That's crazy. That is.
And this is such. Well, I'm Ford Apache now. Actually,
Yeah, I can go back.
And he delivers like if we could do retro Oscars, like this is 1952. What got Uh, the Quiet Man. Okay, so when did was it 52 or 53? Uh, Wikipedia
What
didn't
movie?
give you the year for the Quiet
It's
Man. What?
52.
Okay, so 1952 Academy Awards. At the 24th Academy Awards. No, it's got to be the 53 awards because American in Paris won in 52. So it's got to be. I'll go
Uh-oh.
to the 25th. No, wait a minute. Oh, best director, Quiet Man. So best motion picture was The Greatest Show on Earth by Cecil B. DeMille.
Mhm.
Okay, fine. Best actor. Okay. I will forgive the Oscars for not giving it to Wayne because Gary Cooper won it for High Noon, right?
Ah,
And
yeah.
and if I didn't say that was the greatest movie performance ever, my grandfather would come out of his grave, shoot me 17 times, and drag me back to hell. Um, but Marlon Brando got nominated, Kirk Douglas, Jose Ferreira, and Alec Guinness. So I can understand the Duke not quite getting a nomination that year, but you would
Yeah.
think some year other than the three other with those all those great Ford films he did, whatever, we can play forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Fort Apache. 48.
You know, I keep thinking Fort Apache, the Bronx, every time that I see the title. I know it's not the same thing, but
For what?
I think it's called. I think there's a movie called Fort Apache, the Bronx.
Uh-oh.
Um, yeah, 1981 to crime drama with
Here you
Paul
go, Barbie.
Paul Newman, and Ezra Kenwell. You would probably like this film if you watched it, Jacob. Just
Okay.
notice somewhere Fort Apache, the Bronx.
The Bronx. Okay. I'll
Yeah,
keep that in mind.
I'm just scrolling to see if it had anything to do.
Now these movies are not politically correct today. Take The Searchers. The main bad guy, Indian in that, is actually German. He's a German
Well,
Indian.
I would say whether they didn't want to use an actual American Indian to portray an evil American Indian, so maybe that was woke. You know,
Maybe.
like
Maybe.
like those wokeness squared. You know.
So Fort Apache. Fort Apache features Wayne opposite legendary actor Henry Fonda. Young, level-headed Captain Kirby York, Wayne, clashes with Civil War veteran Lieutenant Colonel Owen Thursday, Fonda. After Thursday returns to Fort Apache and begins to threaten war with the local tribes. This installment in the John's filmology also became the first in what came to be known as John Ford's Cavalry trilogy. Uh, the, uh, the Succession films were She Wore a Yellow Ribbon and Rio Grande. Uh,
Yeah, the Cowboy
Fort,
trilogy.
yeah, Fort Apache arguably was the best of the three, according to audiences and its IMDb rating.
I mean, I will only quibble and say that Rio Grande is my favorite of the three of them. You know,
Yeah,
yeah,
I,
interesting.
I like I like She Wore a Yellow Ribbon.
Oh,
That's
they're all
probably
good
my favorite.
movies.
Oh
There's
yeah,
no
yeah,
reason to
they're
dislike
all good.
any of them. You know, it's just like you know what I'm saying. It's just like picking apple, like you have six different varieties of apples, and which one is I guess
Yeah,
whatever you're in the mood for.
right, right.
An
Let's
interesting thing
see.
here. So we have two big leading name actors, Fonda and the Duke, and
Hmm.
well they I think they were in a couple of other movies together. At least one World War II film. John, I'm actually gonna look that up. I want to see John Wayne, Henry Fonda. Movies with. Movies.
They were
You think there will be a website where they say how many times actors crossed over?
so. I think
Because I know they were in Midway together.
yeah, they were in How the West Was Won too,
Yeah.
but they probably weren't on the screen together in that.
Well, after Midway, they weren't friends. Put it that way. There was some actual violence on the set that led to some fall. Not that they were enemies, but there was some. Basically, John Ford, I think, like had a fight with Henry Fonda, and Ford and Wayne were close. So even though Wayne didn't really hate Fonda, like the Ford did, they
It's just
became. He kept
caught up with
Ford's side.
association, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, it was that Wayne was always a friendly guy. He always wanted to get to know people.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
and but he kept his distance from Fonda a bit because of his friendship with Ford. You know.
yeah. And when you're in Hollywood, you got to be able to act with other people that have different viewpoints from you and get along with them.
Yeah.
Not nowadays. Nowadays, you get canceled if you think wrong. Yeah.
I'm trying to. There had to be more than those three movies he did together. Do you think there will be like a way you could like cross reference, like pick John Wayne, pick Henry Fonda, and it would say, oh, they did these five movies together or whatever, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And to actually, in Fort Apache, one of the other
Oh wow!
soldiers
So even though,
is his is the guy that was in The Quiet Man.
yeah, so
What's
there,
his name?
Google gave me some lists here. The first one up is The Longest Day, which I will always remember that movie because obviously the World War II affected my household. I think The Longest Day had the most big name stars of any movie ever, right? Um, and have you ever seen it?
Yeah. Uh-huh. It's
It's
been a
about the
while, but
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's important to my family because so many of my family were in World War II, especially at the beaches. And I remember that movie because when the '80s, when we got VCRs, and I was the only one who had to work them, I had to record that movie like 15 times for all the family to watch. You know,
Yeah.
so I got tired of it for a couple of years, but I think that's the film where the one has what I call the most classic John Wayne movie of all time, where like the guy they're trying to put for some satchel charges to blow up the the fortification so they get breakthrough on the beach, and like six
Hmm.
guys die or something trying to get in, and the dude goes, "Give me that charge!" Just walks up to it, throws it up there like it's nothing,
Yeah.
you know. But did so the question is
Yeah. Sean Connery was in that too.
Yeah, he played the commander of the Scottish of like the logistics people. You know.
Yeah.
Yep.
All
Yeah.
right. Let's.
That's a whole other
Yeah.
like we can
And
do World War II
Shieldwell was
movies on
saying
it. Yeah.
Shirley Temple was in this too in Fort Apache.
I wouldn't be surprised. Let me get the cast list up for that. Fort Apache film cast. Yeah, I have all Shirley Temple's. When I was young, I had like a crush on Shirley Temple when I was like 10 or whatever.
Hmm.
So I still remember all her movies fondly. You know, so
Yeah.
I still have them like on DVD and all. Uh, yeah, she played Miss Philadelphia Thursday. So she would have been an adult by this time.
By what?
By the 1948, she would have been like at least 20, right? So 20, because she was like uh, she would have been in her 20s, I
Let's
think,
see.
by then.
In 1940, in
Well,
48.
48. Uh,
She was still pretty young.
well, she was born in 1928, so she would have been 20 years old.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. They even have a picture on her wiki page of what she looked like in 1948.
Yeah, here I'll pull up a picture I just found here. So yeah, that's her there. Yeah,
There
she's
you go.
pretty.
Yep. Yeah. And that's what's his face. Um, he was in a couple of the westerns with John Wayne. I need to see what he looks like. On the wiki, John Agar. That's John Agar. Uh, he was in Sands of Iwo Jima. He played the guy that Wayne was kind of mentoring, who was the son of his colonel, the son of the colonel. Um, is Sands of Iwo Jima even on this list?
Yeah.
No, it's not a John Ford film, I guess. It's not. It's not a John Ford film. He was in Seal War, Yellow Ribbon.
No.
He went on to a lot, and Agar went on to a lot of like science fiction type movies. Later in his career.
Yeah.
Apparently, he married Shirley
stuff.
Temple
Really?
for like 5 or 6 years. Like at the time of filming, they were married. Yeah.
I thought they did a pretty good job in aging John Wayne up in this one. She wore a yellow ribbon.
Yeah, I mean, well, the makeup artists were way better back then. I think now they depend too much on like like CGI for aging people and stuff.
Yeah, Shirley Temple was married a few times.
Yeah, she had quite a few spouses there.
Yeah.
I mean, not quite Mickey Rooney level, but
Yeah. So yeah, she wore a yellow ribbon. An Oscar winner for, huh? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so we talked. Agar was in this film again. The guy we just talked about.
Yeah. An Oscar winner for best cinematography. She wore a yellow ribbon. Signaled that Ford's movies were worthy of critical acclaim. Just before retirement, Cavalry Captain Nathan Brittles Wayne is tasked with mending relations between the Native American tribes after Custer's last stand. The mission is complicated as Brittles manages the safe passage of the wife of and niece of his superior officer. Wayne wasn't the only star Ford collaborated with constantly. She Wore a Yellow Ribbon also features Victor McLaren, who starred in supporting roles for other films on this.
Well, the actress who played the widow too late in The Quiet Man was in this too. Do you remember Danaher, the Danaher, the crush on The Quiet Man, the old widow?
Stars Harry Carey Jr. Sorry, and Ben Johnson from other movies led by the Duke.
Yeah, Harry Carey.
Yeah.
I remember. I know obviously he was in this movie. I remember Harry Carey when he was older.
Huh?
Well, I remember Harry Carey more from when he was older in a lot of movies than when he was younger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he played one of the priests in one of the Exorcist sequels. I remember that. Played.
Yeah.
He was. Was he in Gremlins? I'm trying to remember. Well, actually, I just remember from a bunch of stuff, older stuff. Whether it was in Gremlins or not.
Yeah.
But again, I wasn't so much a Western fan as a kid as I was like John Wayne and Henry Fonda, like some of the actors.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather was the Western nut. He would watch Westerns all the time. Even like those like the Westerns you never heard of, like Old Duke on the Range, like a 2 hour movie you never heard of that happened in like 1950, whatever. He if my grandfather were alive, they had like these Western channel cable networks and everything, he'd watch them all day. Like he wouldn't even like he would never change except to watch what we call the War Channel, which was the History Channel.
Mm,
So it was either that
yeah.
or Westerns for my grandfather. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I like the History Channel too. I watched that a lot.
yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, I don't think he was in Gremlins.
There's a bunch of stuff in
And
the
Johnson.
80s I remember him from. The Harry Carey Jr. I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. We're going to number 7, I guess.
It's funny, like some of these actors and actresses were in like 60 movies and some of them were in like 15. Like you just
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like there was no in between.
They were expendable. This is a really good one. Another one from a book too.
Yeah.
Not only did Robert Montgomery co-direct the film, listed as uncredited, but he also starred as the leading man alongside Wayne. Taking place just before the attack on Pearl Harbor and carrying through to after, they were expendable finds naval lieutenants Ryan, John Wayne, and Brickley Montgomery questioning the viability of the PT boats, putting them to the test against Japanese planes. Nominated for 2 technical Oscars, this wartime drama is a well-respected feature. It was also co-written by the Wings of Eagles inspiration, Frank Weed. They were expendable is admirable, right choice for a well-deserved break from the desolate West.
Yeah, so a lot of my knowledge of like World War II started with all my relatives who fought in the war telling me stuff and then me going and reading.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no relatives really served in what they call it's technically the Pacific Theater. Like MacArthur is famous for his work in the Philippines and all that, but I had no
Yeah,
relatives who really served in that particular subset of the Pacific Theater. Like my uncle Frank, he was in the Pacific, but he was like uh later, like when they started countering after Pearl Harbor and all that, and then all the
yeah,
island hopping. I had another uncle in the Marines in that time period. Sandra Iwo Jima, that type of thing.
yeah,
Um, and I had my other uncle Mikey was in the Navy for his whole career, starting in World War II. I think he served in the Pacific in World War II, and then obviously after that, it didn't really matter.
yeah.
Uh,
I I had 2 great uncles that served on a supply ship in the Pacific, and uh, another one was actually uh, was not on his ship at the time when it was torpedoed in Pearl Harbor or bombed in Pearl Harbor. Actually, the bomb hit the powder magazine and blew the ship up.
yeah.
But he was on shore at the time.
Well, if I remember correctly, most of the people who would have been on those ships were off the ship at the time. So,
Yeah,
I mean, it's one thing that leads to the conspiracy theories about it, but the reality is the Japanese
I
caught them
mean, you're
flat-footed.
at dock. You're
Yeah.
most of the crew is going to be let off the ship when you're in dock.
Well, I think the conspiracy theories arise from the fact that there was some very shoddy procedural, like the way, like you're supposed to, when you have ships at dock, you're not supposed to put them in a line, for example, but they did because they were just
Yeah,
not following standard and practices. And so they try to draw into conspiracy theories and all that, about did they let it happen and all, and like no.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh, as to what the events of the movie, what they were talking about, the Japanese made a lot of headway on in the Philippines and other areas before the U.S. really fought back.
Yeah, yeah. And right after Pearl Harbor, the controlled islands that the Americans were on were quickly overwhelmed.
Oh yeah, and it wasn't that they had more production or larger forces; they just took away our ability to get stuff around, you know,
Yeah, right.
and project power with aircraft, with the naval vessels.
But yeah, this one actually had a sequel. I don't. It didn't have any of the same people in it, so I don't think it didn't do as good. Or maybe that was the book. Maybe there was a sequel to the book. I can't
I don't
remember.
see a sequel listed on the wiki page.
Yeah, I think it was. It might have been a book sequel.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good movie.
And again, 7.2 on
Yeah.
stupid DB.
Yes. Where is it? I'm trying to look up the. There it is. Look up the cast here.
Yeah, I'm hitting up some of the people, seeing if I recognize the faces.
Yeah, Donna Reed, Ward Bond. I don't recognize anybody else.
Well, I mean, I recognize the faces from a lot of stuff
Yeah,
I've
I do
watched and all
too.
that, but I'm trying to think what hops out at me,
Yeah.
So I just happened to click on this guy, Arthur Walsh, and in one of his earliest roles, he's uncredited. I'm going to read the title of a movie name to you. And can you imagine if they made this movie in a modern day, what they would do with this title? The movie title from 1944 is called Two Girls and a Sailor.
Oh, yeah.
I can only imagine what they would make out of that in the modern day.
Right. Yeah, but this movie was good. I really like the PT. They really showed a lot of the PT boats tactics, which was kind of cool to see.
Well, one of the things with these war films was a lot of these actors, not Wayne per se, but a lot of these actors served in the military. So they had, and even Ford himself was in the military.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they had enough of their own practical experiences to add some degree of, if not realism, then, um, f- you know, faking enough to be realistic. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. John Ford was actually over, or I'm looking it up right now, but he was uh, did a lot of the filming for the Navy, I think.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, from 42 to 45, he was a commander, rear admiral, reserve, officer of strategic services, 11th Naval District, USS Philippine Sea. Huh. Battles he was in. He was at the Battle of Midway, Battle of Normandy. Wow. And Korean War.
He probably got called into film for the Korean
Interesting.
War, given what happened.
Yeah. But yeah, we're good movie. Definitely recommend that one. But I would put it up like a 8.5 or 9.
There's not a film on this list that's less than 8.5.
No. Crazy. The Horse Soldiers. Good one.
Yeah. This is
Yeah, so
basically a
the
Civil
horse
War movie.
right. The Horse Soldiers is set against the backdrop of the Civil War as Union Colonel John Mallow Wayne and his unit attempt to carry out their mission to destroy a Confederate railroad DuPont. Uh, Marlowe's efforts become complicated after Miss Hannah Hunter, Constance Towers, a Southern belle, overhears the mission plans, forcing Marlowe to bring her along. A mid-tier segment in their cinematic history, Ford and Wayne held the audience's attention despite having set such a high bar standard for their films. Once again, audiences deliver the pair well-deserved respect for their efforts, even if the plot left more to be desired.
Yeah, I remember this film more because of the song at the end. So when Johnny comes marching home again,
Yeah,
they sung it out, so to speak, more than anything. I mean, it's an okay film. Well, it wasn't a bad movie. It's very well done. So again, it should be at least an 8 on
yeah,
there.
yeah.
But and I could see, but it's just a standard plot. It's like let's get these actors together and have a standard war movie plot. It wasn't like
Right,
you know.
right. And
Sorry.
at least with I mean, it's John Ford, so you're going to get good cinematography, but I don't think he was in it as much as his other movies.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, this is based on a book. Apparently, I just looked that up. But again, like what we're gonna find. I guess at least 10 of these movies are based on books. I'm gonna guess at this point.
Yeah.
From Western books that none of us have ever read. It's like,
Right.
yeah.
But definitely, the actors in it are very good.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
trying
I
to
don't.
find.
I don't think John Ford ever I don't think he did bad actors. You know what I mean? Like,
No, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
He did good actors. Yeah, William Holden is I like William Holden.
yeah.
So
There was
and two
another
a
actor
bunch of
served
other
in World
people
War
that
II.
were yeah,
Yep.
and a bunch of other people that were in other John Wayne or John Ford movies.
Yeah. William Holden Stalag 17. That's the big one I remember him from.
Yeah. Okay, you ready to go on to the next one?
Yep.
Okay. Three Godfathers. It's been a really long time since I've seen this. So
Yeah, this one I'll have to actually look up the plot of.
Yeah. A deep dive for surface level Wayne fans. Three Godfathers was the original Three Men and a Baby alongside Pedro Armendez. Armendez? I think I said that right. And Harry Carey Jr. Wayne completes the trio of outlaws who stumble upon a dying woman and her newborn after robbing a bank. The three men
Okay.
risk their lives, safety, and vow to return the baby to safety as they try to outrun the sheriff hot on their trail. Audiences remembered this Ford production as a retelling of the Three Wise Men and resonated with the religious symbolism throughout the movie. It isn't the pair's most memorable film, but solidifies its entertainment value.
Yeah, I get. I remember this film a little more now. I'll have to watch it again. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's her face? The widow Tulane was in this one too.
The who?
The actress who played the widow Tulane in Quiet Man.
Okay.
She played the dying mother.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I got to rewatch that one. It's a good one. And this one,
The
I
West
don't know
was one.
why I have not made it through this movie. I mean, it's a long movie for the time. I think it even has an intermission, doesn't it?
I don't think I've watched this movie since the 1990s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How the
it's an
West was
epic. So yeah, it's
won.
very long. Yep.
Uh,
This had multiple directors.
yeah, it's separated into 5 sequences, directed by Hen, uh, Henry Hathaway and George Marshall. How the West was won is often not included when discussing the John's Canaan, with a big name cast including stars like Spencer Tracy, George Gregory Peck, Jimmy Stewart, Carol Baker, and Debbie Reynolds, to name a few. This feature is close to 3 hours long, detailing the westward expansion of the 19th century. Uh, Wayne stars as General William uh, Tecumseh Sherman in the Civil War. Uh, in the Civil War segment, directed by Ford. Hollywood's greatest stars of the period, Wayne Stewart and Henry Fonda, only starred this one time altogether.
Yeah,
However, they were never in the same scenes.
yeah, because
So,
this is
yeah.
basically like a short story collection, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes. So yeah, that is a long movie for the time.
yeah. It's how long is it? Run length, 164 minutes. I mean, hey, that's half the length of John Wick Chapter 4, right? So hey, we can watch
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. You ready?
Yeah.
Next one. Rio Grande.
Yep. Rio Grande.
A story where everything converges all at once upon its leading man. Rio Grande remains one of Wayne's memorable performances. Lieutenant Colonel Kirby York's past comes back to bite him when his estranged son arrives as a recruit at York's Texas cavalry post, and his equally estranged wife arrives to bring their son home. Furthering the trouble, York is tasked with defending settlers against Apache raids across the river. Uh, this movie is a follow up from Fort Apache, further down the list, and features familiar faces and themes established in previous installments in the John's filmology. Not the worst, not the best. Rio Grande is still a satisfying Western. Again, too low. Too low. Needs to be rated higher than that.
Yeah. Maureen O'Hara is in this one.
Yeah.
Yep. Harry Carey Jr. again.
Mm-hmm.
Same crew of actors for Ford. You know.
Yeah.
Now the plot where Wayne had an estranged son, uh, doesn't it happen in a couple of other movies. Uh,
No. But yeah, that kind of thing did happen even then.
yeah.
But
I thought he had one or two other movies with a similar plot. I'd have to look that up. Okay.
yeah, the kid that plays his son is a pretty well known kid actor too.
Claude Jarman.
Yeah.
See what he was in. Still alive.
Yeah.
He only did about 10 movies.
Yeah. I mean, I just know him from a few. He's
The
pretty good,
Yearling, the movie I guess everyone's
I
known for, The
think.
Yearling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I remember this. His last role was in a mini series called Centennial, which I think was like how long was it? Was it 3 weeks long or some crazy amount like that? It's 12 episodes that were like,
Yeah, it was a pretty.
yeah.
Yeah.
My grandmother loved that. She made me tape that thing for her. Um, I personally was not a big fan of it. By watching because Richard Chamberlain, I was a big fan of Richard Chamberlain, but
Yeah.
that was his last role. Was that he probably would have been like in his 50s.
Yeah.
This one has some nice shots. I remember liking the scenery on this one a lot, more so than
Yeah.
usual for his
Me
movies.
too. Me too.
Maybe because of where they filmed it.
Yeah. And I mean, when they show the battles, it's the full on battle. I mean, it's really great.
Yep. And again, not a 7.0.
Yep.
Wow.
Now, I don't think I've seen.
I want to share a picture. I'm on Wikipedia. Let me share this picture of John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara from this movie, I believe. The one we just talked about. Wow. Look how young they were. We share. Where's the sharing button on that? Present, share screen. Look at that. How thin and young they were. It's like, because a lot of people used to John Wayne like in the 70s when he's getting old, getting older and a little chunky,
Yeah.
I guess we were all young at some point, right, man? It's like,
yeah, and a colored picture too.
Yeah, I'm on the page for Rio Grande. There's on the wiki page. There's a whole bunch of like pictures. Here, I'll do it this way. It's easier. Let me share a different tab. I'm going to share this tab and scroll down. You see the pictures?
Yeah.
There's some nice shots in here.
Yeah.
And there's the kid we were talking about, and Maureen O'Hara. And then you get the black and white, the black and white. So I guess it's a colorized version of the film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A lot of times on Wikipedia, they don't go to the effort of putting all these quality photos in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are some good photos.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so I don't think I've seen this one. 1940.
A Long Voyage Home. I recall watching it maybe once when I was a kid. I can't really say much about it.
Feature centered on the backdrop of World War II. The Long Voyage Home finds the crew of an English cargo ship battling not only the loneliness of sailing, but the thought that there may be a Nazi spy aboard their ship carrying dynamite. Wayne stars as Swedish crew member. I wonder if he has the Swedish accent. Crew member.
Does he talk like the French chef, the Swedish chef from the Muppets? Pardon.
The supporting cast includes actors like Ward Bond, whom fans would recognize in several later films Wayne would lead. This early partnership picture from Ford and Wayne earned 6 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture, but failed to take home a golden statue from the ceremony. Yeah, I'm going to have to check that one out.
Yeah. I had one. Oh, the Widow Tulane did this one again.
Okay. Yeah, this guy too was in The Searchers and The Quiet Man too. Cool. Alrighty. Now this is a fun one. I thought it was a fun one.
This is one of my top 25 movies.
Yeah.
These two have such amazing chemistry on screen together. I don't know if it's the only film they ever did together.
They do.
Lee Marvin and
they were The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance.
Oh yeah, the Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. And then I think they were in The Longest Day, but everyone was in The Longest Day. It's like everyone and their mother was in The Longest Day. So
yeah,
Oh, I can tell. I can do the plot of this one really easy. So
Okay, go ahead.
John Wayne and his people, he leads him and a fellow World War II veteran settled on a Polynesian island. Um, John Wayne had a wife who I guess he divorced back in Boston after the war and left. He has a daughter back in Boston. Uh, so
Right.
the film opens where the daughter from Boston is going down there because John Wayne owns some part of the company that they want back. Um, and once she gets there, a whole bunch of island hijinks happen because John Wayne married local. He married literally like the queen of the island, basically.
Yeah.
Um, and so, and his kids, his son, his daughter, and his son are the queen and the heir apparent to the island, right? And
Yeah.
so, but it's a comedy. This is a romantic comedy, and so they want to hide the fact that he has these other kids, so they can try to salvage his relationship with his older daughter. Um,
Yeah.
and so that's the premise. And while that happens, his best friend, played by Lee Marvin, happened to get out of jail and come back to the island at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? That's Gilhooly.
Right.
And so the whole bunch of high. It's one of those films like
Just a bunch of
it
hijinks in
it's
it.
just
It's
hijinks
good.
happening again and again, as they're trying to
Yeah.
keep cover for the fact that they try to hide the presence of of the two other kids till eventually they find out, and then it turns out she likes her younger siblings and they get along, and obviously there's a
Yeah.
romance happened between. Um, well, I'm sorry, that's not John Wayne's daughter. That's
Yeah. It's the woman he married's daughter, right?
yeah, like it would have been his stepdaughter or
But
something like
she
that.
but she didn't know that she was, oh man, I can't remember. I thought
Yeah,
she was like a heir too or something. Maybe not.
she's the air. Okay, so let me just look it up. This is my middle aged
Oh,
memory
that's
finally
here.
telling me.
Hang on a sec. Let me pull up the IMDb page.
He's Michael Guns Donovan, and Gilhooly is Thomas Boats Gilhooly. You
uh,
know.
where is it? There
Okay,
it is.
no. So I got it. So no, I
Yeah.
remember now. So the doctor who's like the kid, they're all the doctor's kids, not his kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's why I was thinking. So, but they pretend that they're John Wayne's kids in case the doctor doesn't want his family to know about the other kids, right? So
Yeah. Right.
that was
Right.
that was the the
Jack
plot.
Warden plays the father.
Yeah, and so Guns falls for
Yeah.
Amelia. Her name is Amelia. The character name is Amelia. Um, Elizabeth. She Elizabeth something. Let me just scroll down and look. Why even guess? Elizabeth Allen. There we go.
Yeah.
She's played by Elizabeth Allen. What else did Elizabeth Allen do? Not a lot. She did Donovan's Reef. Uh, she was on the Fugitive TV series for a bunch of episodes. She didn't do a lot. I guess this was a big role. I guess.
Yeah.
Um, but it's a hijinks movie that's very fun. Uh, the romantic comedy, aspect of it. I'm not a big rom com guy, but this is one I really enjoy. It's very
Yeah.
fun to watch, very bright. There's a bit of darkness to it, but it's like post war darkness, like like maybe a little PTSD type of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good movie. Good movie. Definitely wanted. And
One of John Wayne's kids was in this movie too.
yeah. And not a 6. Not a
Yeah.
6.7.
Maybe a 600 on a scale of 1 to 10. I mean, I can't. I don't understand. I mean, I know why. It's because there's a bunch of idiots making like, oh, this movie sucked. Just hitting a downvote or whatever. I get why.
Yeah.
But this is such a fun movie. Like
Yeah, it is.
like on the scale of this list, I probably would put it maybe around 10th. So obviously he had better film. I'm not going to say he didn't. Personally, I enjoy this film a lot more than almost any other film he's ever done, except for The Quiet Man. But um, but even like but the rating just screw you IMDb, screw you to hell.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't know what they're doing.
And the guy who played the father, Jack Warden, who you just mentioned,
Uh-huh.
he's an accomplished actor too. He played tons
Oh
and
yeah.
tons of stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, War from Here to Eternity he was in. The Thin Red Line, which I think is right around the time of this film. What else?
Did a
All
bunch of
all the
TV
President's Men.
stuff
I know he
too.
was in All the President's Men. I know he was in The White Buffalo with Charles Bronson. That's a great movie.
Yeah,
Uh, um, he was in one of the Muppet movies, uh, and
he was in 12 Angry Men.
the original one, right?
Yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So there's that.
Yeah,
Yeah. So again, this okay, the tradition back then of all the great actors, consolidating.
yeah,
But this is just funny. Like I laugh every time Gahuli comes on screen. I laugh.
yeah. I mean, just look at this picture. It's hilarious.
Yeah. And there's a great Caesar Romero in this one, the Joker himself. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think one of John Wayne's son plays one of a Navy guy because there's a big brawl in the bar.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good.
And there's great island footage. Matter of fact, let me call up a couple of shots from this. It's worth looking at movies
Okay.
because this, in some respects, this might be my favorite, like cinematography, like you know what I mean, like the visuals of the scenery and all that. Okay, so let me freeze frame that. So I got it up in Wikipedia, VLC. I'm going to share that and just randomly pop through just to show some of the scenery off. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so present, share screen. There we go. Tell me when you're up. So you see it?
Yep.
So this is the opening. I believe I have this in my high def copy of it. So, and just look at the background scenery, man.
Yeah.
It's such a great job. I'll skip past that. That's Amelia Dedham. We were talking about the daughter coming.
Mm-hmm.
Even the water is a very good job. And again, I guess it's scaling the resolution down to 720p for my 1080 copy. But
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, the they have like
a gambling machine or something. Yeah,
and they're always pulling it, but nothing comes out of it.
Yeah.
Until somebody hits their head on it. And
Yeah, Gil does something
dumps
to it, and
everything.
then someone wins.
Yeah.
Look at the background scenery, like all that beautiful. Just a couple more shots. Even the nighttime shots.
There's one where John Wayne's driving up a road in a Jeep that has a really good long shot of the palm trees.
Yeah, I'm trying to find. This is when Amelia meets her father. I just showed the scene with this Caesar Romero as the governor of the island. There's a Duke right behind him. There's, but look at the costumage. They really,
oh yeah,
good work. This is Gahuli dressed as one of the angels of Christmas or something.
Yeah.
And the two in front are the two youngest siblings of like their older sister is the queen of the island, so to speak, and it's Amelia's younger sister. These are one of the Australian show. It's a huge brawl.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
What your alarm's going up there, Jacob?
Yeah. I don't know why it does that. It just does that for no reason every now and then.
Yeah. There's the end of the brawl. So, and it's okay. Well, I was able to get that Jeep shot. I know it's. It's okay. There's the Jeep.
It's a little bit before that, I think.
Okay, so this is when they leave. I'm gonna try to play it muted, but in bits. So, okay, let's go past there.
Yeah, I think it's further back than that. It's when
they're going to the monument, right?
Right. It's when John Wayne's in the Jeep by himself. A little bit before that, I think. A little bit after.
That's when him and Gahuli had a fight when Gahuli returned.
Yeah.
I thought it was, and I thought he took, unless it's right after this. These are that's the oldest girl, is the princess, and the queen, and there's our two younger siblings. Who is is that the actress who plays? Is her name? No, that's Sarah Luke. Uh, the oldest girl is they're Dedhams. Leilani Dedham. So they don't have a link to the actress, but she's been in other stuff. I tried
Yeah.
to go Wikipedia link, but she's been in other stuff. I recognize her face. I just can't remember where it's from. Go on, Uncle Guns, and knock his block off.
Yeah, that little boy's been in a lot of things too.
Yeah.
Go back a little bit. I think the Jeep scene is before he's looking in the telescope. Possibly.
I thought the Jeep scene was when he was taking her up and they saw the monument for the first time. And he's like, "What's this?" And she, you know what I mean? Like she was in the
Yeah.
Jeep with him. I remember this scene. Yeah, it's here. This is where the Jeep scene. She's up on the. I think they take the Jeep up that hill or something. Right, and then they look at the Jeep is a monument. This is what we're
Yeah.
talking about. Yeah. Look at. I'm gonna try to see if I can. Well, I'll just do it this way. They were getting a Christmas tree, I think. Look at that. Look at that amazing shot there.
Yeah.
And this is when she first sees the monument to the wall to the battle that was fought on the island.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a little more playtime.
And she reads the
Yeah.
script on it too.
And she's giving like an island benediction type of thing because all the people have because they basically the premise of the movie is the French and Americans because it was a French colony fought and protected the island, fought with and protected the islanders from the Japanese who were killing everyone on the island. That's kind of the premise of the battle that happened there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was all filmed in Hawaii too.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the monument. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, we can go. I mean, we could probably talk just movies. You all should go watch every one of these films. To put it that way.
Yes, all of them.
Yeah.
Put them all on your list, including the ones we haven't seen.
You need to get that checkbox on your man card.
Yes.
I'm going to look the actress up. I'm going to because there's no Wikipedia link for her name is Jackie Malouf, and I'm going to see if I can. What has she been in? We've seen her and stuff.
Yeah.
She died in 1999. I got her IMDb page up.
Okay.
She was Ozzy. She was in Petticoat Junction, Ozzy and Harriet. She doesn't have a lot of acting credits. It looks like, but that's what we would see. Like those TV shows like Ozzy and Harriet, and apparently she was in The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, but uncredited. She doesn't have a lot of acting roles, but she was in a couple stuff. So that would make sense because when you're a little kid, we watched stuff we probably would have watched on like repeats, Adventures of Ozzy and Harriet or Petticoat Junction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's probably where we would have remembered her from.
Yeah. The little kid, the little boy in it has been in a lot.
His name
too.
is Jeffrey Byron.
Yeah.
He was in Baywatch, TV show, not the movie. He had a lot of television appearances. Lois and Clark, Matlock, Dallas, Wonder Woman.
All his older.
Yeah.
I remember him in something else when he was a little kid.
Well, the earliest TV appearances is The Fugitive, and he was in Star Trek 2009, the Abrams, the JJ track.
Interesting.
He was in Bionic Ever After, which was one of the $6 Million Man TV show sequels.
Mm-hmm.
Donovan Dreef is his first role. He was actually then there's Hot Rods to Hell, At Long Last Love, then a movie called Nickelodeon in 1978. Probably maybe you heard of International Velvet. I heard of that film, so he was in that. Do you remember the really bad movie, The Dungeon Master?
Vaguely.
Yeah, it's like a fantasy film from the 80s. He was in that. So yeah. So it looks like he had a bunch of like he's not a big time actor, but we've seen him around, especially on TV.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so he's in the Twilight Zone, a Twilight Zone
Yeah, that
episode.
was his second TV role in the Bewitching Pool.
The old Fugitive TV
Yep.
show, Bonanza. So yeah, he's just been in a
Yeah.
bunch of stuff. Okay.
What's that guy who was like he was interested in acting, but not in becoming an actor, so to speak. You know.
Yeah. Huh. Cool. All right. Last one up is this one's a true story, actually.
The Wings of Eagles.
The Wings of Eagles. Alongside his iconic leading lady, Maureen O'Hara, Wayne stars as Frank Spig Weed, a real life naval aviator paralyzed after a spine injury. Following his injury, it's Wade, isn't it? Yeah, Wade takes pen to paper and begins to write pro-military films. But the attack on Pearl Harbor leads him to re-enter the Navy under special permission. Ford decided to helm the project, honoring Wade after recognizing he didn't want anyone else to direct the project dedicated to his close friend. This project was a notable installment in Ford's and Wayne's career. So wait. So Ford actually knew Wade.
Apparently, they were like close friends.
That's cool. And you know, I don't think I've seen this one either.
And I've seen it again, probably like what.
Yeah, I'd probably seen it when I was a little kid and just don't remember.
Yeah, I dimly recall it from like maybe like when I was a kid or in the '90s. You know.
Yeah.
I love the Duke, but I don't really watch like maybe 10 or 12 of his movies like every so often. But
Yeah.
some of his stuff, like the last thing of his I watched consciously was as DVDs I found of a couple months ago for a serial, a Western serial he was in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I watched that, and I haven't watched A Quiet Man this year, which I probably should, or Donovan's Reef, both of them. You know.
Yeah. I will probably rewatch those too. For good ones.
Oh, and look, another film that is much higher rated than this stupid number says.
What is it?
It just
Oh yeah,
it's a
6.
0.6.
So yeah, you got Ward Bond again, and Ken Curtis. He was in a bunch of them, bunch of these.
The same crew, probably, especially
Yeah,
a movie like this where it's about his best friend or whatever. He probably had
yeah.
you know.
Cool.
Wow. So you know, I'm just glancing over Ford's like his filmography, and you know
Mm-hmm.
he did all these films with Wayne. Well, he did all these films with Harry Carey Sr.
Yeah.
and back in like the teens and 20s. I wonder if they're all lost. Like let me just share this.
Yeah. These movies he did with John Wayne are just the tip of the iceberg for his directing career.
Yeah. There's the filmography, right? So you got it up?
Yeah. Let me rewrite.
Okay, so I'm gonna scroll in a little. Let me so you can read it. Is it big enough?
A little more. Yeah, that's good.
Okay. I'm gonna go down to the actual. So look here, like all these early films, Lost, 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 and Harry Carey, all these movies he did. Harry Carey. Obviously, we talked about Harry Carey Jr. In a lot of his later films. You know.
Yeah.
A Status Unknown, Survives Incomplete, man. So much of our early, like, between, obviously with the Doctor Who we talked about, like they lost all those early episodes, and plus a lot
Yeah,
of other episodes of British stuff. There was, I understand why they didn't appreciate that would have any value, these old movies,
yeah, and so
even
much of it just gets put on a shelf
yeah,
somewhere.
yeah. Well, I mean, I remember Steven Spielberg went on a big project with his own money, trying to find the surviving copies of anything he could and preserve it and then copy it to a more long-lasting format.
Yeah,
Even through the 20s, we're seeing lost stuff.
hmm
Yeah. Victor Logland, Victor McLaughlin, we've seen him in plenty of Ford stuff later on, you know.
yeah,
And finally, we get to the stuff that isn't lost.
yeah.
But I've seen so
That's just
many of his movies, I don't even know they were his movies.
yeah. Me too.
Yeah. The Grapes of Wrath,
Yeah,
based on a book, of course. If you didn't know that.
yeah.
Was this his? He did a couple films with the Duke before that, I guess. But 30. Look at that.
Yes, yes.
You know, uh,
I've noticed that a lot of some of these old directors that were during World War II that have a lot of stuff like that, like how to keep yourself, and not just you know sex
yeah,
hygiene, but how to keep yourself clean in a like a wet environment, like the uh, Pacific Islands and stuff.
yeah.
A lot of training stuff.
And Mr. Roberts.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And they're all, I mean, all,
Yeah, a ton of them are good. A lot of great ones too.
yeah. And his last film in the '70s was about Chesty Puller. So that's a decorated one of the, that's I think that's the most decorated U.S. Marine of all time.
Might be. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What's his name? Donovan Reeves guy. What's his name? Lee Marvin,
New Marvin,
right?
yeah. Yep.
He was a highly decorated soldier too.
Military service. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Scout sniper in the Pacific Theater.
Wow,
It's his Marine picture.
that's cool.
Yep.
Yeah, what John Wayne was in the military too, wasn't he? I don't know
I
what he did.
I don't. I think he might have been in because like a lot of people were in, but I don't think he served per se.
Yeah,
Let me check. Don't want to misconstrue the Duke.
no.
I don't see a military service here.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of actors went into filming movies for the military too, so
And
he
some
may have just
actors,
done
like
that.
even if they were in the military, would never. Okay, wait. He was not accepted to the Naval Academy before Brage. So, okay. Uh, so it looks like he never went in the military. He tried to join the Naval Academy, but
Yeah,
and went straight into movies. And that would have been the 20s. So I think he was between wars. I think he might have been too old for World War II.
yeah, that might have been it.
Yeah. But even if he was like Joe, this is how my grandpa met Joe DiMaggio, right? So Joe DiMaggio was in the army, and my grandfather went before he got sent over to Europe, was sent to the West Coast to train, and my grandfather wound up playing on the same. They made a traveling baseball team for Joe
Oh wow,
DiMaggio to travel through the bases and play with the soldiers for good morale. My grandfather was on the team with him.
wow, that is
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
That's
and
really cool.
so, but after that, he said, my grandpa and my uncle were like, yeah, Joey D never left California. They were not sending him overseas for nothing.
No, no.
You know, and someone that's and one of those doesn't know how what's his face from the Red Sox, Red Sox, uh, Ted. Ted Williams. He said to me, I don't know how Ted Williams got actually into combat because Joe DiMaggio was not being allowed within
Yeah,
100 miles of
right.
combat. You know,
No.
yeah.
Yeah, I
But
think Jimmy Stewart too. He was a pilot for one of the bombers, but they steered him away from
yeah,
being in like over Germany
yeah.
and stuff like that. So
They don't have a military section, so it's probably the same. True. First post-war. Okay, he enlisted in the Air Force, commanded a bombardment ring. So he probably was in, but like I said, they transferred, but he never did any. Yeah, he was too big. Like if Duke were in the military in World War II, it'd be like John, the Duke, you're going to be made an honorary colonel, commander of a U.S. base or something. Like,
yeah,
no way they're sending him in. You know,
right.
though it would have been like the Chuck Norris jokes. Yeah, did you ever see? You remember those Hitler discovers videos that were popular a while back?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, those
They
what?
they find out John Wayne was on his
Yeah,
way to the front, and they're like, "We surrender, we surrender."
yeah. There was Hitler discovers Chuck Norris is on the way, and it was like that one was Mein Fuhrer. They defeated our elite steroid-induced Kraken in the Atlantic Ocean. How? Chuck Norris is defeated.
Chuck Norris.
And we're like Hitler discovers John Wayne is on the way to the battlefield. He goes, he will kill us all with one six-shooter.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like he had the persona of the Chuck Norris of his day. I guess that's a good way to think of
Yeah.
it. But Chuck Norris obviously not quite the quality of the actor as John Wayne is.
So a lot of your like your grandpa and were like at the right age to go into World War II.
Well, I remember my grandpa and my uncle Pat. There was an oldest brother. So
Okay.
so obviously D-Day broke out, right? But the war
Right.
had been building up before that, right? So they knew they were all draft age. So my grandfather and my uncle Pat did not know how to swim. So they were like, "We're going to sign up in the army, so we don't have to join the navy." Right?
Right.
My grandfather wound up learning how to swim while he was in the army, but not during basic training. He had to learn when they had to learn how to do D-Day to get off the boat.
Yeah.
Anyone who didn't know how to swim in that invasion, like if you go to the Pacific or you go into the D-Day invasion, that make sure you could swim so you could actually get not drown when you come off the boat. Um, but so they joined the army and they were in ahead of time. Like that's why they went to the West Coast to train because they were still shipping a lot of people out to the West Coast to train. I guess they had the area to do it there or whatever. Um, my uncle Mikey joined the Navy for a career before the war was even a thing. Uh, my uncle Frank was drafted into, I think, the Marines. Um, who else? Uncle Benny was drafted into the Air Force, and he was in the same unit Phil Rizzuto was in. That's a Yankees. That's a Yankee
Oh,
shortstop. If you
another
don't
Yankees.
know,
Okay.
yeah. He was the Yankees' famous shortstop before Derek Jeter in terms of uh, shortstop in like the 50s on all the big teams. Um, and my uncle Benny was an Air Force cook, and Rizzuto was a pilot, I think, or something like that. And they were in the same unit.
Okay.
You
Cool.
know. Who else was in there? I think one of my grandfather's other brothers got drafted later. My grandma only had one brother. Like that was Uncle Mikey, who was in the Navy. Uncle Buffy, who was my grandmother's older sister's husband, he was drafted into the army. Um, he, I think he went. I don't think he didn't go on. My grandfather's the only one who actually went on the beaches. And
Okay.
the Normandy, Omaha beach invasion.
Yeah.
Uh, who else? Was Uncle Bert in the military? I'm trying to remember. That was my grandmother's second oldest sister's husband. Um, I don't remember. I'd have to ask my aunt about that one. Because uh, anyway, anyways, so those are the ones. Those are the immediate ones I remember from World War II. Um, But there were other older Italian guys in the neighborhood who like cousins, my cousins'
Right.
grandparents, where they were all of the right age to be drafted for World War II.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Both sides of my family were either too young or too old. So there's were two of my great uncles were on a Navy boat.
Yeah.
My grandpa was 101st Airborne, so he dropped behind Normandy. Uh, Another one was the guy that was at Pearl Harbor that wasn't on the boat at the time. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's all I know of that my family that were in World War II.
Well, like when you grow up Italian, you have the family events where you meet like hundreds and hundreds of relatives.
Oh yeah,
Just
yeah.
no, you know. I mean, sadly, not a lot
Actually,
of us left.
actually,
But you know,
not my grandpa, which is my dad's dad. His sister had a brother that was in. I think he was in the army. I don't know what action he saw. Or,
actually, my grandfather was actually technically in a TV show. I'm trying to find. I don't know what was. Okay, so it was a World War II TV show called The Gallant Men, right?
mm-hmm,
And it was a fictional TV show, right? But the opening footage for the opening was let me see if they actually have it on YouTube, and then maybe I could spot my grandfather in the footage of the troops going around
mm-hmm.
like a hill or something like that. It's been a long time since I've seen it. Let me see if I can find the opening.
So he was put in the background like an extra
They
in the
just
background.
use no, they use a lot of stock footage of soldiers
Oh,
doing stuff.
okay.
Uh, trying to see if the
Yeah,
opening.
my grandpa was pretty much what you see in Band of Brothers. He was there, in the same area. He actually started out 82nd Airborne, then was transferred to the 101st before
Yeah.
Normandy.
Oh wow. Yeah. Maybe it wasn't the Gallant Men. It was It was a World War II TV show where you see opening stock footage of real stock footage of soldiers doing stuff, and they were marching around to help it. And one of the guys marching around was my grandfather.
That's
It
cool.
wasn't a creative role or anything. It was just they noticed years later. Because I think when my grandfather recognized another guy in the troop and said, "That's my troop," and and then told my family I would have been the seventh guy in a row. You can only know it's him because you know it's his troop, and he would have been seventh in the list. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
I gotta hunt that down. That would be a cool little bit of footage to have.
It would be.
But maybe it's
Yeah,
not the Gallant Man. It's one of those. It's one of those TV shows, though.
yeah. Looking at uh, my grandpa was a battery B battalion, I think. He was a radio man. So yeah, I looked through pictures, wondering if he's in one or not. But there is a photo of like a training yard, and it's like overhead. So he might
Yeah.
be in that training yard. I just can't see him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty cool.
So outside of the Duke's John Wayne film, the John Ford films, um, recommend of course Mr. Roberts. Anything else? Any other ones you want people besides the Duke films? They hunt down for
Uh,
John Ford.
Midway.
Yeah,
Midway's a good
Midway.
one.
Yep.
I don't know.
I'll just grab the filmography one more time in case.
Yeah, I'll look too.
He had so many films that you don't even know he's in. The Lost Patrol. That's Victor McLaughlin and Boris Karloff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, his filmography goes back to the
Yeah,
silent.
but pointing out all those lost films.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Young Mr. Lincoln's good. Drums Along the Mohawk, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Grapes of Wrath. Uh, How Green Was My Valley? That's another good one.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah,
course, The Battle of
you're not
Midway.
gonna like he has no bad movies,
Oh
guys.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, there might be average movies, or like maybe the documentary Sex Hygiene might be kind of boring, you know. But
yeah.
can you imagine if you got John Wayne to do that? Like, hey, partners, this is how you take care of your
Okay.
dog. Like the Duke doing sex ed for soldiers. Oh my god. Him and
Yeah.
Henry Fonda and Jimmy Stewart are all doing sex ed for soldiers in one film.
I'm glad they were bigger named than that to
Yeah.
have to be in that.
But that would be the greatest documentary of all time. And then they
Yeah.
could maybe have Maureen O'Hara guest starring and saying, "When you're with your
Oh
lady
no.
friends." I'm just imagining it. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god, if
Okay.
I had any skill, I would use AI and like video editing software to edit that in, like the sex hygiene.
Yeah. That would be.
You know, it'll be so hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's just the whole. Oh my god, you know. In fact, I'm going
So
to click on that
he
sex
he
hygiene and see if
actually did
anyone.
a fugitive, the fugitive in 1947.
Oh my god! So I have this sex hygiene film. There are actual actors in this.
Yeah. Yeah.
George Reeves was in it. The second Superman,
Huh. Yeah.
and Robert Lowery, who was
Man.
who was the second Batman. The second Superman and the second Batman were both in this film.
Wow. That's crazy.
Richard Durham. Not all of them have clicks in Wikipedia. Oh my god! And then another guy in here. One of my favorite science fiction films is When Worlds Collide, and another guy in
Yeah.
sex hygiene was in When Worlds Collide.
I bet they bury that
He was the star of When
in their
Worlds
history.
Collide. Oh my god! I
I
got to
bet
see this
I bet they
documentary.
bury that movie in their
Yeah,
they don't bring that movie up in their in their filmography.
yeah. There's one more clickable guy, Charles Trowbridge, and this guy did like 40 or 50 movies. This is
Yeah.
he
So
has a humongous oh my god.
yeah, John Ford has a ton.
No, I mean the guy from the sex hygiene, the other guy, William Trowbridge or whatever.
Yeah.
Those are the only four I could click on. It. I mean, wow. I gotta
That's
go.
crazy.
So the plot of this film is several servicemen were last by playing pool at their base. Can you imagine like the servicemen being John Wayne and Jimmy Stewart and Henry Fonda? And those one later visits a prostitute and contracts syphilis, portrayed
Oh
by Maureen
gosh.
O'Hara. As a result of this unfortunate experience, this opportunity with sexual health information about syphilis, how it's spread, can we prevent it? Oh my god! I'm
Well,
sure
it had to be done, I
it had to be
guess.
done.
I mean, you had a bunch of guys going into combat.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
man, I gotta find this movie now. I can't help myself.
yeah,
Uh,
I think it's even worse frowned upon now than it was back then to
yeah,
fraternize. So
yeah. And they had a movie with John Wayne. What was the movie with John Wayne? He went to the prostitute, but she had a kid, so he wouldn't sleep with her or something like that. And he wound up sending her money because she was being a prostitute because it was war. Her husband had died and she had a baby. Um, was it Sands of Iwo
yeah,
Jima?
I don't remember.
I'm
There was a
gonna
sad one though. I vaguely remember that from one of his movies.
um, Sands of Iwo Jima. Uh,
Yeah, I think was it Santa Ujima or one of those John Wayne dies in. It's like
Yeah.
one of
So he picks
the
up a
only
bar
movies he
girl.
dies in.
It's just Senju Ojima. He picks up a bar girl, goes back to her apartment, which is suspicious because there's a little kid in the next room who's hungry. So she just gives her the money and leaves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, man, that was glad you could come on for this one. It was great. It was good
yeah.
talking with you about these movies and
Hey, we never would
a
have
lot of good
discovered sex
ones.
hygiene without this talk.
No, we wouldn't have.
I just imagine John Ford making that documentary,
It's like, let's get this over with.
and he had a documentary with Superman and Batman. I'm like, wow,
And they were nobodies back then.
yeah, this is like their first role.
Yeah,
You know,
crazy. So yeah, thanks for everybody hanging with us and listening to us talk about these movies. And for future people watching this, go watch these movies. These are great movies
yes. And then
and
and
deserve
then
a
when you
better
go to
ratings.
IMDb, uprank them when you watch them.
Yes, don't listen to their rating system. They don't know anything. Well, thanks, man. And you got anything you want to plug?
Let's see. So Tuesday we have something on your show Tuesday. Do I have
Yep,
something coming up?
Stargate. It's
Stargate.
Stargate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I got to rewatch that. So because I got to on pull it apart from my memories from the TV show. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um, Stargate, and then Thursday we do Highland. No, we do Highlander on Roman's channel.
right.
Um, which
I'm
is
on that one too.
I can talk about that movie for 15 to 20 hours easily. Um, what else? Then um,
I
what's your
think you're
next
on
Saturday?
next Saturday. It's Band of Brothers.
Yeah. Oh
Talk
yeah.
about that series.
Well, we just started. We've talking World War II now. Just World War II to be continued next week. You know.
Yes, yes, to be continued.
Yep.
I'll try and find some pictures of my grandpa.
Yeah, I might have one laying around. My aunt has all. I'm not a photo guy. I don't keep a lot of photos around for some reason. You know. Maybe I can get
Yeah,
my aunt to send me a couple. Um. So that's Saturday. Um. I did put everything on my calendar, so let me grab the calendar. Google Calendar. Okay, so Band of Brothers on the 11th, Roman Highlander on the 9th, uh, Favorite Thanksgiving on the 18th with you.
yeah.
Yep. Isn't there something else I'm on with you?
Let me look. Um, no. The favorite Thanksgiving one, Band of Brothers
Okay. And
and
then I,
Stargate. I think.
yeah, I don't know if I'm on Roman's Trains, Planes, Automobile show yet. I think that's on the 16th or the 23rd. Not the 23rd.
Okay.
That's Thanksgiving. Uh, what else? So on my end, I have my Frankenstein review up a couple days now. Um, Frankenstein, the novel Frankenstein. Okay. Uh, what else? I will do I will get my review for Wheel of Time. I keep saying this because I'm trying to force myself to do it. I don't want to
Yeah.
think about that stupid show, but I have to do it. Get my final review up of episode 8 up. I'm on another podcast I do, the Questioners, kind of spin off of White Cloaks. The channel called the Questioners. We just did our third dive into Brandon Sanderson, basically ripping apart the eighth episode of Wheel of Prime. That I think I'm going to try to start a little like 1 hour podcast, like Friday afternoons around 3 or 3:30. Before the big ones hit, just talking some hobby stuff and comics and whatever. And so one of these
Yeah.
next couple of Fridays, it'll be in there. Anyone here doesn't want to pop in, it'll be like an open thing for. So I'm a little guy, so I can have guests on. Uh,
Yeah.
so talking like my hobbies of comics, some novel stuff, and one of my ideas, which you may see if I can commit myself to it, is maybe once a week I'll record a reaction to an older movie. Like I said, When Worlds Collide, which probably no one besides maybe Jacob has heard of. Um,
Yeah.
Picking some old sci-fi and horror type films, fantasy films, and doing like a reaction to it. And I will edit it down. Maybe I'll keep the full length version of it for on a subscribe star for someday or whatever. But maybe one a week just to call attention to some of these older, forgotten sci-fi and horror films that I love.
Yeah.
So that might be happening by the end of the year to start up. I got to see because I work doing any of this stuff like this is a hobby to me. I do You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not trying to
Me
establish
too.
a mega YouTube channel. I just like doing
Yeah,
this for fun. So
yeah, me too.
yeah,
Yeah, and I think we're on pretty much the same shows this week. So
yeah.
so my show Tuesday, Stargate, and then Romans, Highlander, and then the 11th of Band of Brothers. So yeah, be a fun
You got
week.
anything going Thanksgiving week on the 21st?
No, I just left that one,
Okay.
open. I'm not doing anything that one.
Okay.
But
Doke.
I should be putting out the December schedule soon, so we'll have that out. Thanks for coming on, man. I had a good time.
Yeah, same here, bro.
And thanks to the chat
Yeah.
for hanging, and we'll see y'all next time. Have a good one, everybody.
This is quite pleasant. Pleasant? Oh, like the greatest sandwich. Like, if you take a bite of it first and then put it in the water. Yes. Guys, I really have to pee. I don't miss the food, so